This is kind of a weird thing for me that 15 minutes into the podcast is the first time my voice has been on here, but I don't want to interrupt, honestly, because it's such a great conversation.
2026 marks the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the foundation of an American popular culture mosaic. This is the Everything's a Primary Source podcast, a show dedicated to learning history through pop culture. I'm your host, Eric Salmonson. As part of the America at 250 public history road trip, I traveled across the country collecting stories, each one a piece of that mosaic, connecting personal experience to the media, people, and places that shape our lives. This season brings those stories together because pop culture, at its core, unites us. Everything's a Primary Source is, therefore, a way to understand your history, my history, our history, through popular culture.
Telephones in the classroom. I teach history, so telecommunications is history.
I also was a teacher. I taught T1 carrier, T3 carrier,
right?
Digital.
So to trainees, to people learning.
We trained back in that time frame. I trained the people that were going back into the 4A switches.
Sure.
Back in the 70s, couldn't switch a call out of New England.
True.
So AT&T and New England got together and they built these 4A switches. They were 4-wire switches. And they were big buildings without any windows and radio towers on them. And I worked in Lawrence, Cambridge, worked was back in Boston at another time, and I was the manager of a number of different places, of which was Malden, the North Shore, then I had Dorchester, the South Shore, met some characters down there. That was the same time that Whitey Bulger was around. His favorite girlfriend was my clerk's mother.
Small world. But let's go back to talking about telephones and about how the technology endured for a very long time with some upgrades, but managed to hang in there with some fundamental changes, but not too many changes. So,
it's a commodity that people needed.
Right.
So what was available for transmitting signals is what they used.
So a telephone like this, which would have been made in the 1950s or would have lasted well into the 1980s.
Still works today.
Still works today. And these would be analog because everything's digital, but you could still work with one of these today.
I came out of the analog world and graduated into digital. And I ended up in light theory, fiber. I worked for New England Tel, 9X, Verizon, and then I retired and I went to work for DSC Communications out of Plano, Texas. They, at the time, bought a new technology that was under development. George Hawley, who is you might call him the inventor. George worked for Western Electric at the time. And he devised a method of new transmission through digital carrier. And it was time division multiplexing. That became the standard for years and years. And recently, I say recently, 10 years, 15 years ago, fiber optic entered the scene, and they created new types of electronics to process the calls through that medium.
Did you know that Alexander Graham Bell experimented with fiber optics way back when he was young?
I've been to his museum
Yeah.
in Nova Scotia.
Way back in the late 1800s, that he was experimenting as he looked at sound and all that he did.
Edison tried to steal.
Edison tried to steal everything, I think.
George Westinghouse was part of that scheme too. George was an honest guy, though, from what I've read. I didn't know him.
But again, people that were in it genuinely for the discovery, like Tesla, were almost preyed upon for their minds and profits. And,
well, they really used Tesla.
Yeah, absolutely.
Edison did him real bad.
That's what they have here. This is the guy you knew. That's who you knew.
This guy.
Oh, you knew. What he's holding up is Norman Rockwell's famous painting.
That's in Stockbridge, Massachusetts.
Yeah, of a telephone lineman. He's up on the telephone pole with his spikes in his bootlegs and working on the transformer up on the pole, the line. And this is a very famous painting by Rockwell. And it's in Stockbridge, Massachusetts.
This is what he did.
And you know the guy.
I worked with him.
What do you call
subject,
it?
yeah.
The model for Rockwell.
When I was a lineman, I was just a young kid. Tulin. Dan Tulin.
Dan Tulin.
Yeah, that's his name.
That is really, really interesting.
The other one that I'm very familiar with.
You want to hold that up?
The other one I'm very familiar with is Angus MacDonald. He walked the toll line. Rockwell painted him. He's on snowshoes looking for opens on the open
That picture's
wire.
over there also?
You got that over there?
Yeah. So
his
the picture's
granddaughter
over there
worked for
also.
me in Manchester.
This is kind of a weird thing for me that 15 minutes into the podcast is the first time my voice has been on here, but I don't want to interrupt, honestly, because it's such a great conversation. I think what we're already kind of arriving at is, so the question I have right here is, who is the intended audience or user of this? You were working all around the region, all around the country, constantly, because the audience is everybody, right? I mean, telephones have always been
the last
for
job
the
I
people.
had formally with the telephony was in New York City. My guys, my group, rebuilt the Dale lines in Wall Street after the towers came down. I was on ground zero 8 hours after it happened. It was really, in fact, after that, I called my boss, and I was a director of operations for the East Coast at the time, and I had Florida to Canada, and I called him. I said, I want to go home. I'm done. So for a number of years after that, I ran my own business focused on software upgrades, and we did a lot of work for AT&T. That's where I got involved with San Luis Obispo out in California, the Trans-Pacific cables. And I worked out of Manchester, and I was vice presidential staff guy, and I did all the clearance on problems that people couldn't solve. So some of the places I'd been, Loring Air Force Base up in Maine, that was a SAC attack base at the time. And I cleared, multi-channel carrier systems, analog at the time. They hadn't, in fact, the government kind of lags behind on technology. And therein lies, I ran the high altitude sector out of Nashua, New Hampshire, for about a half a year.
Is this your first visit to the New Hampshire Telephone Museum?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. So you've been here for a few minutes. So far,
I live in Salem.
Okay, so far, what do you think?
Well, I see you've got a lot of things that I'm familiar with.
You familiar with it? You know, I think to me it's the most wonderful gem of New Hampshire.
Yeah, it is.
And really is great for all ages,
Yeah.
with interactives and for people with a telephone history, for people like me, lovers of telephone. But have you seen something that really caught your eye?
I haven't. I just came.
Just barely got here. So when you get to
The only
the
other thing
switch
I did-
exhibit, because they do a demonstration of the switching, so you're probably going to be
Probably
able
a step
to.
machine.
Yeah, you're probably going to be able to
Step
add all
switch.
kinds of additional color to that demonstration.
Do you have any repairs needed to be done today? Because I have a feeling he might know how to.
I think they have a docent on duty that would probably relish having additional information.
One of the things I did is kind of interesting is when I worked in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, toll test, one of my responsibilities was broadcasting for WGBH
Oh,
out of Tanglewood.
yes,
Summer?
Yep.
And
In the
we
Berkshires.
had LMX dual Mosleys. They were big amplifiers that sent the signal via Springfield down to GBH in Boston. And we had to cover that. That was a Class A service. And I got into a lot of activity down at Tanglewood. A lot of good music.
Support for this episode comes from iCivics. As we celebrate the 250th anniversary of our nation, iCivics is looking ahead to see how we'll bring that history to life in the classroom this fall. As you plan your upcoming curriculum, put Investigation Declaration at the top of your list. In this new game from iCivics, middle and high school students don't just read about 1776, they live it as Secret Agent 6. Their mission? To stop the global crime ring BARF, the baddies against rights and freedom, from erasing the foundations of our democracy. It's the perfect way to turn this 250th milestone into a season of discovery. Give your students a deeper understanding of natural rights and the social contract on their own terms. Get a head start on your best school year yet. Explore the Investigation Declaration now at bit.ly/investigation declaration.
What I love about everything you're saying is that wherever the line goes, you go. I mean, that shows how interconnected our country has been. And these places that you've been, from Boston to New York, all the way out to San Luis Obispo, I mean, that's the story of our country, right? Like like Pittsfield has so much 18th century, like Shays Rebellion, stuff, like long before telephone, but that desire to communicate is so foundational for our
massive.
country.
If you look at the greatest inventions, looking back, whoa, boy, when you think, people go back to the rock is amazing, and this, and electricity. Looking back at from 1875 on, 150 years of the telephone. I cannot think of another invention that has come so far in our lives that we have them on us right now at this very moment, that it has integrated itself into every aspect of our lives, where we have in our pockets right now, I have more computer technology in my pocket than Apollo 11 had to go to the moon. I have more capabilities to talk to anybody in the world at any given moment right now in my
That's
pocket.
when failure wasn't an option.
It's quite amazing to see how the telephone and telecommunications has come into our lives and expanded. I think we watched the Kentucky Derby the other day, and you're seeing the live broadcast through telecommunications, television, and broadcasting. But I look back to, and you remember, the walk on the moon. And you're hearing and seeing both the video, but you're hearing the voices live from the moon via telecommunication. And we know that AT&T and Bell Atlantic and all others were involved in that giant leap for mankind that telecommunications.
By the way, that's not analog.
No,
It's digital.
it's very much digital.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I try, and you said as a teacher, try to instill in people the importance of communication and reaching out, and how the telephone, it's just such an important
One thing
invention.
that I've observed over the years, the system is not developing people the way it used to. We had standards,
Yes,
volumes and volumes of books.
Yes.
Bell system standards.
yes,
And it's no longer followed. As I drive around now, I winter in Florida every year. The outside plant down there is excellent. As you come up to New England, there's many transfers that have to be done. They don't have in the rural environment, we don't have a lot of fiber. I see deterioration.
right, infrastructure.
Yeah, infrastructure.
Right, and changeover.
Yeah.
Yeah, changeover. When you say standards, I also think of standards for, there used to be videos on how to dial a telephone, because people were shocked at making the transfer to dialing a telephone instead of asking the
Have you ever
operator.
seen the Bell System standards, the books?
Well, remember how they taught you how to answer the phone? How to properly and politely answer the phone. Hello, this is the Smith residence. Who may I ask is calling?
I've always said ahoy, which is
And
what
and
Alexander Graham Bell
nowadays,
wanted.
we look at the phone, and if we don't recognize the number, we just delete it and block it or whatever. Standards for both production, standards for dealing with things, standards for even talking on the telephone nowadays. And we're more apt, I guess, to text than we are to actually talk anymore.
I mean, behind all of this, though, whether we're texting, talking, I mean, just the sheer number of people who are constantly working to keep things maintained and to improve, it's
With the electronic movement that we're in today, it demands less and less people for attending to the electronics end of it. Still probably need not as many people outside either. So it's diminishing. But if you go back to the 30s and the 40s, like I had responsibility for a panel office. Panel came into being prior to the step-by-step machine. So they had to, as the switches would come up and
Right,
turn,
right.
they had actually used grease guns to grease that function.
Oh, no kidding.
Mechanical.
Yeah, see that over on the other side here.
That's step machine over there.
what I like though is that no matter how advanced we get, I have right outside my house is a pole with all the wires,
Yep.
and they've made improvements. I live in a rural. We just got fiber recently, like in the last year, and they've been working on those things like crazy. Very high tech stuff. The telephone poles are still wooden.
Right.
You know, it's like we've had the same exact design for
Creosote.
those
Yep.
since the arrival of even the
Sure.
telegraph. And that's like these, they're not the exact same ones, obviously, need to be replaced over time, but that it's like no matter how far into the future, almost like Jetsons style technology and communication we have, it's still a wooden pole with metal,
Non-conductive.
yeah.
There'll be a demand for that for a long, long time.
Yeah.
It's
It's insulated, non-conductive material, so it's inexpensive.
Yeah,
The
it's-
wood, renewable resource. So
Well, I'm hoping that we don't get rid of the telephone pole entirely, that we don't go underground for everything,
too
because
expensive to go into.
well, yeah, it's going to be way too expensive. But those have been put into our landscape. I mean, once technology arrives in things like fine art, you know that it's become part of pop culture,
Right.
where you can have like a pretty photograph or painting that incorporates things like
Right.
that. Plus, people have been using telephone poles for posters and signage and just telling each other information, yard sale.
Farmers use them for fence posts.
Yeah, I mean, it's a built-in.
Interestingly, too, they are taxed as infrastructure.
Oh, yeah.
So the electric company and the telephone company are taxed on those telephone poles that are within the towns and cities. So it's an interesting source
They're
of revenue.
separated by, if you have a setting area, your setting area would be where you would be responsible for placing poles. That's your tax area. So the power company has a certain area, and the telephone company has a second. And the poles, not all of them today, but they were always labeled. So if you ever got lost, you could.
That's what he always told me when I
Yeah.
broke down.
And they have a lifespan too, and they are routinely tested. They have people
Well,
that go out.
pole inspector.
Pole inspector. You go out with a sledge. Get this. This is a great job. You go out and you get a pickup truck, and you go out and you get a sledgehammer, and one by one you get out of the truck. You go up to the pole. You hit it with the sledgehammer. If it sounds good, you check it off and move on, and there you go.
How come I've never seen that? You'd think that'd be
I actually saw
videos
it when
everywhere
it was
of
during
people
2020,
Most of those guys.
doing a classroom, Zoom classroom during 2020 from my kitchen table, and working with a student. And I happened to look out the window, and there was a pickup truck in my yard. Guy with a sledgehammer gets out, goes and hits my pole. And I said to the kid online, I'm like, "You got to excuse me 1 minute." And I went running out the door, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "This is my job."
I wonder if he got the job because he had a sledgehammer?
I'm a subcontractor for the telephone or for the electric company, and
Did
my
you know
job
why they do
my
that?
job is to go out and test every single telephone pole and see if it's solid. And so I go and I got a clipboard and I
What happens if it's not? I mean, that's going to
he
fall on your
puts
head.
a mark and says that it needs to be
Well,
replaced.
Just to interrupt there, but the reason why they test like that,
Yeah.
which is pretty archaic if you think about it, the rot occurs
Yeah.
any wood product.
Yeah.
The first
Usually in the base.
15 to 20 inches
Yeah.
in the ground.
In the
That's
base.
what his job
So
was.
I actually have pictures on my cell phone right now of a pole that is in my neighborhood that a person messaged me on and is asking for help on to get the electric or phone company to come out and replace their pole. So we're actually working on this because there's a big hole in it, and it's like 5 companies that have lines on this pole, and none of the 5 want to own up that it's their pole. So
You said it though. I mean, it's funny how we have such high-tech stuff involved, but to test the pole, you just use a
the
sledgehammer.
sledgehammer and you hit it. Yeah,
That's it.
He is absolutely correct. You hit it like 15 to 20 inches from the ground, and you
One
can
of the
tell.
other things that people overlook, as far as technology goes, ground. The resistivity is the ability for the ground to transmit
Right.
signals.
What's that earth? That
AC.
we put in? Yeah.
Ohm's law.
There's a kind
E
of.
over IR.
There's a kind of. It's not a mineral or something that they put around electrical ground things to ground
Well, you
out
know
the
what?
signal.
The
I can't think of the
installers
name
that
of
would
it.
put this phone in your house. If you lived in a trailer park, New Hampshire has a lot of gravel, the makeup of the earth, a lot of gravel.
Granite State.
So yeah, it's a granite state. So that doesn't conduct very well, and you need a good ground to have telephony.
Yeah.
And they pour water on it.
They pour water on the
The installer, you go in, put the phone in, they drive a ground rod in,
Yeah.
so they could, especially during the day of multi-lines, shared phones, and the water would increase the resistivity so that the conductance would happen to a greater degree than if it were dry. And when it dried out, they'd call a trouble in, and the installer would have to. Those people knew that the rock pile had dried out. So,
Bill, I can't thank you enough for all of your insights. These are incredible. And
I've got more stories than you can handle.
well, take my card because we definitely can chat some
I
more.
thought about it this morning when
When
my
did you
daughter.
start?
and-
18?
I don't know.
I think he was 18 when he started on the phone call. Right, Dad? Were you 18?
I was
Yeah.
20.
Out of high school.
20. No,
20?
no, I worked in electronics. So I was 20.
And he's 83.
Yeah.
Worked till he was 70.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much.
82 now.
Very nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice
Yeah, it's
meeting.
nice meeting you.
It's been, and I mean,
Interesting.
just thank you for keeping us connected all these years. I mean, that's,
There's more.
Come back again.
Well, you gotta see the museum.
Each podcast episode has us uncovering another piece of the mosaic that is the American experience through pop culture. It's what connects us across backgrounds and perspectives. These episodes are here to be enjoyed, but they're also built to spark learning in and out of the classroom. Visit everything-history.com to learn more. Be sure to like and share this episode and the podcast itself. You can follow Everything as a Primary Source on social media, including YouTube and especially Instagram. I look forward to you joining me again next time on the EPS podcast, where everything is a primary source.